Think about the last time you opened Instagram or TikTok. Within seconds, you were probably looking at someone's vacation, someone's promotion, someone's new relationship, or another perfectly edited glimpse of a life that seemed worth showing. Thus, it feels so normal now that we barely question it. We document where we eat, where we travel, what we buy, and sometimes even what we're feeling before we fully understood it ourselves. But hidden inside that endless stream is another kind of person. You almost never notice them. They see everything. They know the trends, the milestones, the drama, and the celebrations. Yet weeks, months, sometimes even years pass without a single photo, story, or update appearing from them. At first, it's easy to make assumptions. Maybe they're shy, maybe they're private, maybe they just don't care about social media. That's the explanation most people settle for. Psychology points somewhere far more revealing, because the decision not to share your life can expose just as much about your mind as sharing every detail, and in some cases, it reveals even more. So why do some people remain almost invisible in a world that rewards being seen? The answer has surprisingly little to do with social media itself. It begins much deeper with the way the human brain decides what makes a moment truly valuable. Imagine finally reaching a goal that took years to accomplish. Maybe you graduate. Maybe you buy your first home. Maybe you land the career you've been chasing for years. For many people, the moment doesn't feel completely real until someone else reacts to it. Before the excitement has even settled, the phone comes out, the best photo is chosen, and the upload begins. Why? Because every notification quietly answers a question most people never realize they're asking. Did this moment matter? Psychologists call this social validation, our tendency to judge our experiences through other people's reactions. Every like, comment, or share delivers a small burst of dopamine, rewarding the brain and encouraging the cycle to repeat. Over time, the change is almost invisible. Instead of asking, did this mean something to me? We begin asking, will this mean something to everyone else? Without noticing it, our internal compass slowly starts pointing outward. People who rarely post often break that pattern. They celebrate. They take pictures. They build memories that matter just as much. The difference is that they don't feel compelled to transform those moments into public proof. For them, an experience doesn't become more meaningful because other people witness it. Its meaning existed long before anyone else had the chance to react. And once your happiest moments stop depending on an audience, you start making decisions that most people never even realize they've stopped making. That's where the next psychological shift quietly begins. Imagine walking into a room where every conversation pauses the moment you enter. You'd probably think more carefully before speaking. You'd replay your words in your head. You might even become a version of yourself designed to leave the right impression. Now imagine carrying that room with you everywhere. That's one of the quiet psychological effects of social media. Every post places your life in front of an invisible audience. Every photo asks a question without saying it out loud. How will people see me? Most of us never notice how often we're answering that question. Psychologists describe this as self-presentation, our natural tendency to shape how other people perceive us. It's something everyone does. The problem begins when maintaining the image becomes more important than protecting the person behind it. Slowly, life stops being something we experience. It becomes something we curate. Vacations start revolving around the perfect picture. Meals become content before they become memories. Even meaningful conversations can begin to feel like future captions waiting to be written. Without realizing it, the camera quietly steps between us and the moment itself. People who rarely post often avoid that trap, not because their lives are less interesting. Quite the opposite. Many have fulfilling careers, deep relationships, and experiences most people would love to share. The difference is that they're more interested in living those moments than collecting evidence that they happened. Their identity isn't assembled one upload at a time. It's shaped through private victories, genuine relationships, and values that remain real even when nobody applauds them. Ironically, the less energy they spend maintaining an online image, the more stable their real identity often becomes. Because instead of asking, how will this make me look? They ask, does this actually reflect who I am? That quiet shift influences almost every decision they make. But there's another psychological advantage that most people never connect to posting less, and it has nothing to do with confidence. Every time you share part of your life online, you're giving away more than information. you're also creating expectations. People begin expecting updates, expecting explanations, expecting the same version of you to appear again tomorrow. That invisible pressure builds so gradually that most people never recognize it. After a while, you may catch yourself wondering how every decision will be interpreted. Should I post this? Should I explain that? What will people assume if I disappear for a few weeks? For some, those questions become constant background noise, quietly following them through everyday life. People who rarely post often never carry that weight. Their life stays exactly where they believe it belongs, outside the expectations of an audience. They can change careers without announcing it, leave relationships without public conversations, discover entirely new passions without worrying whether they fit an image they've already created. That privacy gives them something becoming increasingly difficult to find: the freedom to change before anyone else expects an explanation. Because the most important transformations rarely happen under a spotlight. They happen in silence, long before the world ever notices. And that silence reveals one final psychological truth that most people completely overlook. Imagine waking up to 2 notifications. The first tells you that hundreds of people liked your latest post. The second is a message from a close friend asking, "How are you, really?" Only one of those has the power to change your day. Social media often blurs the line between being noticed and being known. But decades of psychological research point to a different reality. The number of people who recognize your name matters far less than the number of people who genuinely understand your life. People who rarely post seem to grasp that difference almost instinctively. Instead of sharing every milestone with everyone, they often reserve the most meaningful moments for the people who have actually earned a place in them. A long conversation, an unexpected phone call, or dinner with family can carry more emotional weight than hundreds of reactions from people they'll never speak to. That doesn't mean they reject social media. Many enjoy scrolling, laughing at memes, or keeping up with friends. They've simply learned that an audience and a relationship are not the same thing, because attention can be collected in seconds. Trust is built over years. One disappears the moment people refresh their feed. The other becomes stronger every time 2 people choose to truly understand each other. And that changes where they invest something even more valuable than time: their attention. Every social media platform is competing for the same resource. Not your money, your attention. The longer it holds your focus, the more it can shape what you notice, what you compare yourself to, and eventually, what you believe matters. Posting regularly pulls many people even deeper into that loop. You check who viewed your story, you refresh to see new likes. You wonder why one post performed better than another. Before long, you're no longer just sharing your attention. You're waiting for it to be returned. People who rarely post often interrupt that cycle before it quietly takes control. By sharing less, they spend less time monitoring reactions, chasing approval, or measuring themselves against carefully edited versions of other people's lives. Instead, that mental energy flows somewhere with lasting returns. Learning a difficult skill, strengthening real relationships, improving their health, or simply experiencing a moment without feeling the need to prove it happened. Ironically, many of the most fascinating people you'll ever meet aren't trying to convince anyone they're interesting. They're too busy becoming someone worth knowing. So, what does it really mean when someone almost never posts on social media? It doesn't automatically mean they're introverted. You can barely stand. It doesn't mean they're unhappy, and it certainly doesn't mean they have nothing worth sharing. Sometimes it means they've made a quiet psychological trade that most people never notice. They've chosen experiences over performance, privacy over constant exposure, or validation over public approval. In a world that keeps asking, "What can you show everyone?" they keep asking a far more revealing question: who am I becoming when nobody is watching? And the answer to that question is rarely found on a screen. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments. Do you think social media brings people closer together, or slowly pulls them further away from themselves?